Hello and welcome. In this short video, I want to go over some of the features of Engineering Unit Converter Plus. Quantities such as area, length, etc. we'll call them measures, so basically conversion of unit means you select a measure and then select a from unit and select a to unit. It's that simple. However, this converter is made for scientists and engineers, and you can customize it to your liking to a great extent. So let me go over some few features here. As you can see, you can scroll down and there are a whole lot of measures right here. First of all, I'm running it on a simulation mode so that the fonts become slightly bigger. I'll run it on landscape mode and go over a few of the bells and whistles here. First of all, you can see the help button right here. And then you can see, of course, it has all the details that some of which I'm going to go over right now. Default is units are shown on lists, from unit list and to unit list. And if you select spinner, what happens is that you can generally turn a wheel to match the units from and to units. These tabs basically obviously self-explanatory. I mean, the favorite tab is when you have a unit measure you use frequently, just click the favorite button. It is copied over there, and it's not that the unit will appear, the measure will appear both in all and favorite and frequent. In the favorite tab, you can customize your favorite measure. In other words, you can add or delete units from that measure. Below that, you see a search box. You can search for a particular unit or you can search for a measure. So let me just, without further ado, let's go over a couple of examples. Suppose you want to convert area. The moment you click on area, you can see that 1 meter square is converted to foot square here. The things to notice here are what? First of all, you can click here to go back to the earlier page. Here is the from unit value. 1 is the default, 1 meter square. It is the to unit value and the unit. And you notice the area, it reminds you that we are converting area is our measure, but you can quickly go, instead of going back to the measures page, you can change the measure right here from the selection. And of course, I'll go over the customize a little later. So let's go see how, instead of meter square, suppose I want to convert it to mile square. All you do is to select mile square. Or acre. It's that simple. Suppose we want to, you can use the swap button to 1 acre is how many meters square. So that's very useful when you're looking for a particular unit, because there is a whole lot of units for each measure, as you can see. So it's not just, let's go back to meter square into acre, for instance. Instead of a 1, you can put any number, or for that matter, suppose you can put an expression. Suppose you say 100 by 255 meter square is how much. So you can just, to update, you can click anywhere here or the update button. Then but instead of 1 meter square, suppose you want to convert, let's say 155 meter by 255 meter area. Then to update the calculation, notice you cannot, the moment you type in anything here, the answer goes to question mark. So you can update by clicking here or the update button. And so the conversion is now made. The equation can contain, suppose you can say, what is 10 times sine of pi over 6. Well, instead of 1 meter square, you can enter an expression here. For instance, you want to convert 255 by, say 355 meters square. So to update the calculation, notice that the moment you enter anything here, the question marks appear on the right hand side. You can click right here or the update button to update your calculations. And you can use other expressions, such as you can even use scientific expressions such as sine of pi over 2 or etc. etc. In this is quite versatile an expression that you can use here. A few more things. Suppose you go down at the bottom, you will see there's an info page. Clicking on info area, of course, there is a lot of things to report here, but there are some measures you will find a lot of interesting information. Of course, clicking add measures to the Fev, there's two ways. I can click here, or you can just click on favorite, then the measure is sent back to favorite. It's now added to the favorite tab. You could also use it using this customize. Notice that because I have added it to the favorite tab, now this particular item says remove measure from the favorite tab. You can also add custom units or custom measure in your favorite tab. So for example, suppose, let's first try to notice that it's context sensitive. This button became now delete unwanted unit. So suppose you want to delete, let's say we want to delete meal square, then all you have to do is to choose meal square on both sides and delete it. That's it. Or circular meal, suppose we don't want that, delete it. So this is the way in which you can delete unwanted unit. Acre, we don't want it, delete it. Of course, that doesn't mean they're deleted forever. You can go to the all panel anytime, and this will always show up. You'll see that if you go to the all, your acre, circular meal, everything is there. But if you go to your favorite tab and now go to your area, suppose you go to favorite tab and you go to area, you'll find acre is missing. And circular meal is missing, the units that we already deleted. So it's quite simple to use once you get used to it. There are other features of customize. Suppose you want to add a new custom unit. So say add custom unit. So obviously, no, I didn't click the right place. Add custom unit. Okay, suppose we are now going to... Okay, so let's start converting units. Suppose we want to convert area. Okay, let's convert some units. Suppose we want to convert 1 meter square to 1 foot square, 2 foot square. It's already done, as you can see. As we click on area, we come to this page, unit conversion page, which is a very simple layout really. If you, for instance, click on any of these units, suppose any of these are my from units and these are my to units. Here's the layout. We are converting 1 meter square by default to the English unit, whatever is, this is the to unit. You will notice that the measure that we are converting appears here, so we can quickly switch to another measure. And clicking here, of course, takes you back to the original page, and we'll talk more about customization a little later. So notice how easy is the interface. For instance, meter square is converted to yard square if you just click here, or millimeter square is converted to inch square. So in other words, you can very easily go back and forth between these two. It's not always 1 meter square has to be converted. You can put any number, like what is 37 meters square, and just click here and it will be updated. Or what is 37 times 45 or 54, for instance. Oopsie. Sorry. Somehow I clicked. Or what if it is 37 times, let's say, 54. Or suppose you want to convert, let's say, 37 times 54. Click here again, the answer is found. Of course, you can also use more sophisticated expression, any algebraic expression, even with trigonometric terms in it if you need to. Go play with it. At the bottom, you will find there's an info button. It brings up the info on this particular unit. Of course, for more sophisticated units measures, you will find detailed info. And then you can use this button to add it to the favorite tab. We'll again talk about it a little later. Let me go back and show you how the spinner works. If you click on the spinner, and it would be nicer to see it in the actual mode. You go to the spinner and you go to area. You can see that you can spin. You can go move your units left and right, up and down, and the units are converted on the fly. Of course, you can do the same sort of things here also. Nothing changed. You can say convert this unit, and it's done. So the only difference between using the spinner and the list is that in the list you can see a whole lot more units in one shot, and whereas the spinner also sometimes doesn't work in every device. So anyway, let's go back to our landscape view, and this time let's talk about a few other units. Suppose look at the conversion of binary to decimal. Okay, sorry, we're stuck with spinners, so let's go to the app remembers what your last settings are always. So if you go back to units in list, suppose we are converting binary to decimal, or you can see all sorts of unit changes that is possible here. In fact, you can even do n-ary changes. In other words, it doesn't have to be to the base that 36 or 18 or 17. You can specify a n base. Again, where do you understand all these are documented in the info page, how to use such complex conversion. Suppose you're looking for, let's say, a unit. Let's say you heard a unit called rod. Does it exist? Yes, it exists in area and length. Or suppose you're looking for entropy. Does the unit converter provide that? Sure. And then you can go to entropy and convert entropy units. Likewise, by the way, when you click all the units will show up here. So now that we have kind of covered the basics, I want to show you that it does more than just engineering units. For instance, you can go click on interest and mortgage. Suppose you have a $380,000 loans for 30 years, and you can just change the interest rate. Suppose the interest rate is 4.5%. That will be your payment. Of course, you again read the info page. If you go to the info page, you will find more than just help here. It will even give you the amortization table and everything that you need to, more than what you need to know about your mortgage. Of course, you can also use the flexible, in fact, it doesn't have to be necessarily the percents given here. You can format that. You can put the amount, space, interest rate, space, year, and you can find out, you can get the amortization for any variable rate, in any rate. There are even more sophisticated. For instance, if you go look at some of the, if you go to the UTM latlong conversion, you will find that different standards are encoded here. You can select a standard and then convert latlong. Again, the format here, this is obviously not one number. These formats are all discussed in the info page. Let's now go and talk a little bit about how do you send something to the favorite page and what can you do with it. Suppose area is your something that you use all the time. Notice this button is kind of context sensitive. It says add measure to favorite. The moment you add, now this button changed to delete unwanted units. In other words, now you're already in the favorite page because you added the measure to the favorite page. let me go back here. So anytime you start the converter, come to your favorite page, you'll find area. If you start it, launch it, you'll find you can delete some of the units that you don't like. For instance, suppose you say, okay, I'm not going to use some of the obscure unit. Let's go to the bottom of both. Suppose you say, I don't want to deal with meal square. So you select meal square. If you say delete, it will give you a warning that, again, the hint that the from unit and to unit must be agreeing with each other for it to delete, so that you don't inadvertently delete something. So you go there and select meal square here and meal square there, and the unit is deleted. Likewise, now it's in the delete form, so you can keep deleting as many units. Circular meal, if you want to get rid of that also, they're gone. That means they're gone from the favorite page. If you go back to the All tab, you will find them back. In other words, in the All tab, you will find meal square is still there. But if you go to the, sorry, the scrolling is not so easy here, to the favorite page, you will find the meal square will not appear. So in other words, you have just customized the units. If you go back to the landscape mode, I mean the normal mode, you can see that you can also do add a custom unit or custom measure. The way it works is that because this is area, meter square is our base unit. So you have to, suppose you want to say, I want to call a new unit of area. Let's call it, USA. And one USA, suppose you say it's like, 10,000 meter square. That's it. You can say done, or you can add this and add another like this, as many unit as you are done. Until you are done, you say done. So now you got it. One USA is so many foot square. You can convert one USA to any other unit as you like. Likewise, just like we can add a unit, you can add a new measure. Suppose you want to add a new measure called a custom measure called love, and then you declare the base unit is X, and the base unit, okay, so you declare the base unit, you say done. So 1x equals 1x. Now to this measure called love, we can add custom units. Suppose you say 1O is equals 10 hugs. And then you say you are done. So now you can convert. In other words, between X and O, you can convert. And you can keep adding new units. Suppose you say add custom units of... Anyway, you get the idea. In other words, instead of making the video too long, I just want to say that there are so many ways you can use this unit converter. Or suppose we want to add a custom measure. So select custom measure from the menu and give the, first of all, you go to name your measure. Suppose I want to call it love. And we declare a base unit. Suppose XX is our base unit. Done. So 1XX equals 1XX. So let's add some new units to this measure. Let's say we declare the new unit to be 00, and 100 is equals 10XX. So therefore, there you have it. We have just declared 100 is 10XX. We can convert that. So you can see the power, the flexibility of adding new measure or new units. You can really make your own converter. Of course, you got to remember that when the updates are given, the Android is so smart, it remembers all your changes. And of course, if you use a measure that is standard, unit that is standard, that is missing in the unit converter, all you have to do is to send an email to support@thermofluids.net, and we'll be too happy to just add it in our next release. So again, it's quite simple to use a unit converter that is growing because of your input every day. And I'll stop here and thank you for watching this long video.